Hi, it's James. Alone. I'm doing this episode without my beloved co-host Kate. She's on her hiatus. Miss you, girl. If you're listening, she's listening. Hello, everyone. I'm gonna try and get through this with as little as possible ums, ha's, and ums, for my sake, for editing, really. And as of right now, the episode, I'm recording it alone, but there may be a pop-in guest if anyone wants to join me, so just be prepared for that. If not, you just get to listen to me talk for an hour. Hopefully not an hour, but I am just gonna get into it.
I'm Kate.
And I'm Jane, and this is Creeps and Coffee,
a show where we talk about the dark parts of the world around us.
Cryptids, conspiracies, things that go bump in the night,
and the crimes behind the scariest creatures of all, humans.
Join us as we take a look at the stories sure to give you the creeps.
Pull up a seat, grab a coffee,
and let's have a chat.
So, today, we are finishing up with the Hollow Earth series, really, because I did an episode with one of my friends and we really only got through like half of the things I wanted to talk about. We talked a lot about legend, and I think we got all the way to the 18th century legends about the earth being hollow. We're gonna bring it from the 19th century to now that we're here. For anyone who didn't listen to the previous episode, it's not necessary, but if you want some more history and interesting things, go back and listen to it. If not, Hollow Earth is exactly the theory that it sounds like. It's this conspiracy that the earth is hollow, people can live inside the earth. Some say it's a utopia, some say it's like the underworld, like Hades, hell, that kind of thing. We'll get into it, don't worry. In the Middle Ages, an ancient German myth said that some mountains located between Gotha and Eisenach hold a portal to the inner earth. Sorry if I mispronounced those, you know me. A Russian legend says that the Samoyeds, which are an ancient Siberian tribe, traveled to a cavern city to live inside the earth. Now, there is a lot going on. In the 19th century, so in 1818, John Cleves Sims Jr. suggested that the earth consisted of a hollow shell about 1,300 kilometers thick, which is, I think, 810 miles. I don't know. I'm not American. With openings that are about 2,300 kilometers across at both poles, so North and South Pole. 4 inner shells, each opening at the poles. Sims became very famous among the Hollow Earth peoples. And in Hamilton, Ohio, they even have a monument for him and his ideas. He proposed making an expedition to the North Pole, thanks to one of his followers, James McBride. There was a guy, J.N. Reynolds, who delivered multiple lectures on the Hollow Earth, and he actually went on an expedition to Antarctica himself. But he did not join the Great U.S. Exploring Expedition of 1838 to 1842, even though that venture was also a result of his arguing. Sims never wrote a book himself on the subject, but several other authors published work discussing his ideas, including McBride, and I think Reynolds as well. In 1868, Professor W.F. published The Hollow Globe, which brought forth Sims's hypothesis, but didn't mention him by name. Sims's son, Americus, also published The Sims Theory of Concentric Spheres in 1878 to set the record straight. Sir John Leslie proposed a hollow earth in his 1829 Elements of Natural Philosophy. And in 1864, Journey to the Center of the Earth. Doesn't that sound familiar? Jules Verne describes an expedition into the Earth's interior via the fictional Icelandic volcano Skartis. The protagonists do not actually reach the center, but they do still discover a subterranean ocean inhabited by creatures believed to be extinct. They escape through another volcano on the Italian island of Stromboli. Isn't that a food? Anyway, William Fairfield Warren, in his book Paradise Found, The Cradle of the Human Race at the North Pole from 1885, presented his belief that the humanity originated on a continent in the Arctic called Hyperborea. This also influenced some early Hollow Earth peoples. And according to Marshall Gardner, the Eskimo and Mongolian peoples had come from the interior of the Earth at the entrance at the North Pole, but that kind of just seems racist. So I'm gonna say wrong. Congratulations, we've summed it all up. We're in the 20th century now. Welcome to modern life. I think the first mention of the Hollow Earth in newspapers were printed in 1900, talking about an early feminist utopian novel, but I could be wrong about that. William Reed, an early 20th century proponent of Hollow Earth, wrote Phantom of the Poles in 1906. He supported the idea of Hollow Earth, but without the interior shells or the inner sun kind of vibe, which makes more sense. Because, listen, if the Earth is hollow, voice crack, I don't think there's an inner sun. I don't think it's this utopia with an alien race living in it. Maybe there's people down there, but they definitely don't look like us. I'm thinking more like mermaids or like creatures of some sort. Even cavemen, maybe. I think it's probably dark, and these, you could even call them monsters. If we saw them, we might consider them monsters because they've had to adapt to living in the inside of the Earth, you know? And I think, unfortunately, with the way it is politically these days, if we were to, find the interior peoples living in Hollow Earth, we would probably just be like, oh my god, kill them. Let's colonize this place and use it to our advantage. And that's really unfortunate. So, if Hollow Earth is real, I hope we never find out. A spiritualist writer named Lady Paget was an early writer who mentioned the Hollow Earth hypothesis. She claimed that the cities, I hear a cat somewhere in the vicinity, that the cities exist beneath a desert, which is where the people of Atlantis had moved. She also says that there was an entrance to the subterranean kingdom that will be discovered in the 21st century. So, I guess keep looking for it. There's a lot of novels that I don't even want to read all of them because there's so many that just barely mention it. Another book from 1922 called Beasts, Men, and God talk about a subterranean kingdom that exists inside the earth. It was known to Buddhists as Agartha. I also don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly. But with so many different works talking about this kind of thing, you have to start to wonder, like, is there some truth to it? Because I'm not even reading you guys all of the books. I'm going to skip a lot of books. I'm just reading the ones that are interesting. But if you look it up and do your own research, while there's not a lot of proof, and I will be debunking a lot of theories later on in this episode, there are so many things in history that talk about it. All of this content, fictional or otherwise, they're clearly going off of something, but I don't know, I like a good conspiracy, you know me. In Anything Can Happen from 1940, there was the claim that the Caucasus Mountains of a cavern contained human skeletons with heads as big as bushel baskets, and I quote, and an ancient tunnel leading to the center of the earth. One man entered and supposedly never returned from said tunnel. This also brings about the conspiracy theory of there were giants on the earth. Maybe there are giants living inside the earth. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. a novelist, wrote in the book The Cave of the Ancients that said there was an underground chamber system that exists beneath the Himalayas of Tibet, filled with ancient machinery, records, and treasures. You can believe whatever you want. I will not sway my opinion on that. A cryptozoologist, Michael Grumley, linked Bigfoot and other hominid cryptids to an ancient tunnel system underground. I know I pronounced that wrong, I think, but hominid cryptids is supposed to mean like ape-like or from the primate family. Yeah, I'm a cryptozoologist. I don't want to brag or anything. According to an ancient astronaut writer, Peter Colosimo, a robot was seen entering a tunnel below a monastery in Mongolia. Peter also claimed that a light was seen from underground in Azerbaijan, that country. Let me Google how to pronounce.
Azerbaijan.
The country Azerbaijan. Other ancient astronaut writers also linked these activities to UFOs. And some of them even say that the UFOs are coming from inside the Earth. Like Dr. Raymond Bernard from 1964, which, not that long ago, you guys. He adds the idea that the Ring Nebula proves the existence of hollow worlds, as well as a speculation of the fate of Atlantis and the origin of flying saucers. And it turns out Walter Sigmeister used the pseudonym Bernard. So, that's the real guy. Martin Gardner revealed this. Thanks, brother. 1989, there was a published work called Subterranean World, 100,000 Years of Dragons, Dwarves, and the Dead, Lost Races, and UFOs from Inside the Earth. I would like to read this. Hollow Earth have claimed a number of different locations from the entrances which lead inside the Earth, yada yada yada. Other than the North and South Poles, there are also supposed entrances in locations which have been cited to include Paris, France, Staffordshire in England, Montreal, Canada, Hangzhou in China, I don't know if I pronounced that right, and the Amazon rainforest. There is also... Hello? Worker would like to be included in the story. I think it's pronounced Xibalba. This is the Mayan place of the underworld, ruled by the Maya death gods and their helpers. This roughly translates to place of fright, but I do not speak Mayan, so I know I butchered that. The entrance to Zabaya was traditionally held to be a cave in the vicinity of Coban, Guatemala. The cave systems in nearby Belize have also been referred to as the entrance of Zabala. And in some Mayan areas, the Milky Way is viewed as the road to Zabaya. Anywho, the idea of hollow earth is a very common element in fiction, as we've concluded, appearing as early as Ludwig Holberg's 1741 novel. I'm kind of just going all over the place here now that I'm done with the 20th century. It's called, in English, Neil Klim's Underground Travels, in which Nikolai Klim falls through a cave while spelunking, and spends several years living on both a smaller globe within and the inside of the outer shell. You've got William Henry Hudson's Romance from 1887, A Crystal Age, in which the protagonist falls down a hill into a utopian paradise, and this is sometimes considered a hollow earth theory. However, the hero himself in the story thinks he may have traveled forward in time by a millennia instead. You've got the 1969 The Under People by Eric Norman. You have Inner Earth People and Outer Space People. And then besides books, it is in TV shows, movies, a couple of different ones. You've got The Children Who Chase Lost Voices, Ice Age, Dawn of the Dinosaurs, if you guys remember that one. You have Aquaman. I already think I mentioned it, Monsterverse with like Godzilla, King Kong, yada yada yada, Mothra, that kind of stuff. You've got TV shows like Inside Job and Slugterra and Sanctuary. You've got lots of role-playing games that talk about it. You have the Hollow World campaign set for D&D and the Hollow Earth Expedition. And in video games, you've got things like Gears of War and Torrens Passage. It is also used partially in some of the Marvel comic universe, where there is a subterranean realm beneath the Earth known as Subterranea, of course. So you may have heard me mention a couple of different things about shells, a shell world, that kind of thing, and I just figured I would talk about it a little more. So when I'm saying that a shell world, I am referring to a couple of different hypothetical megastructures. Yeah, big words. A planet or a planetoid turned into a series of concentric, like Russian doll type layers. If you know what I mean, you got the biggest one, a smaller one inside that one inside that one, so on and so forth. All supported by these massive pillars. A shell world of this type features prominently in some guy Banks' novel Matter. And I'm going over these different shell worlds and, shell Earth kind of thing, because that is something people will also believe, which is not exactly a Hollow Earth theory, but it ties into it and it's related, and some people will start to believe in Hollow Earth and then switch to this, or vice versa. You also have a definition of, a shell world or a shell planet being a megastructure consisting of multiple layers of shells suspended above each other by orbital rings, which is supported by a hypothetical mass stream technology. This type of shell world can be theoretically suspended above any type of stellar body, including planets, stars, black holes, gas giants. The most massive type of shell world could be built around a supermassive black hole at the center of galaxies. However, this is all hypothetical. This is very science fiction. It's really cool. It's really interesting to think about and to learn about, but it's not really us. It's not really Earth. If there are any aliens listening, hey, feel free to email us and let us know if that's your world. However, I'm going to boldly say that's not planet Earth. That's not Earth 616 or wherever we are right now. The final sort of definition I'll go over about a shell world is that it's a completely hollow shell, which can be created on a planetary or larger scale, contained by gas alone, which they, call bubble worlds, sort of. As long as there is an outward pressure from the contained gases that balance the gravitational contraction of the entire structure, resulting in no net force of the shell. The scale is limited only by the mass of the gas enclosed inside. So the shell can be made out of any mundane material, but the shell can also have an additional atmosphere on the outside, which is why people will use this as one of the Hollow Earth theories. Is yes, there is still an atmosphere out here, but there is also one inside.
2 hours later.
I'm not going to comment on that one because I just don't think it's true. So now I'm going to talk about some science. So a variation of the Hollow Earth versus Inner Earth, because apparently they're two different things, according to the political scientist Michael Barkin in A Culture of Conspiracy. He draws a distinction between the two. So the majority of the interior planet is hollow, being Hollow Earth. Meanwhile, others view it as solid, but honeycombed with interconnected spaces. do with that what you will. It's potato to me. Now I want to talk about something called concave hollow earths. But I'm going to take a sip of my coffee first, because for once I'm drinking coffee. Thank you, Instant Coffee Nescafe. Sponsor us. Instead of saying that humans live on the exterior surface of a hollow planet, sometimes they call it a convex hollow earth hypothesis. It is hypothesized humans live on the interior surface. This has been called the concave hollow earth hypothesis, or sky-centrism. That sounds more correct. Cyrus Teed, a doctor from upstate New York, proposed the concave hollow earth in 1869, calling his scheme the cellular cosmogony. Teed founded a group called the Korshan Unity, based on this notion, which he called the Korshanity. This main colony survives as a preserved Florida State Historic Site in Florida, Estero, Florida. But all of Teed's followers have since died. Rest in peace. Teed's followers claimed, past tense, to have experimentally verified the concavity of the Earth's curvature. Those surveys of the Floridian coastline make use of the rectilinear equipment. Don't ask me. Several 20th century German writers, including Peter Bandit, Johann Langs, Karl Nippert, Fritz Braut, blah blah blah, published works advocating the hollow... Okay. Oh. Wow. You don't like Hollow Earth? Everybody, that's my roommate's bird. He's a cat, not a bird. Oh, and he's going crazy. I live with 3 cats now, so those are my special guests as of right now. They have a lot to say, I guess. You may have heard Burger earlier if I didn't cut that out during editing. It has been reported, apparently, without historical documentation, but it has been mentioned that a supposed Adolf Hitler was influenced by the concave hollow earth theories and even sent an expedition in an unsuccessful attempt to spy on the British fleet by pointing infrared cameras up to the sky. That guy. Speaking of, how y'all Americans doing? I know a lot of our listeners are American. Hope y'all are doing well with your new leader. The Egyptian mathematician Mustafa Abdelkader wrote several scholarly papers working out a detailed mapping of the concave Earth model. Back to Martin Gardner, if you remember, I've mentioned him so many times. In his book from 1992, On the Wild Side, he discusses the hollow Earth model mentioned by that first guy I just said, the Egyptian mathematician. According to Gardner, talking about that guy's theory, this hypothesis describes light rays that travel in circular paths, and they slow as they approach the center of a spherical, star-filled cavern. No energy can reach the center of the cavern. Meanwhile, a drill would lengthen it as it travels away from the cavern and eventually passes through, quote-unquote, point at infinity, corresponding to the center of the Earth. Gardner notes that, again, and I quote, most mathematicians believe that an inside-out universe would properly adjust physical laws. It is empirically irrefutable, unquote. Gardner rejects the concave hollow Earth hypothesis on the basis of Occam's razor. Work. But he still loves to talk about hollow Earth. But that one, he says, nuh-uh. So, if y'all remember Occam's razor, Kate's mentioned it, I think, once or twice before. It's just a principle in philosophy and problem solving that suggests the simplest explanation, which requires, the fewest assumptions, is often the correct one. So, for example, if I go, I went to the bathroom and I just come out, and my coffee that I just mentioned is suddenly all over the floor, instead of going, oh, what the heck? There are ghosts, and one of the ghosts must have knocked over my coffee. Instead of that, we can maybe assume more probably that one of the 3 cats I live with came in and knocked over my coffee. So from Occam's razor, we can likely deduce that it was probably the cats, not a ghost. But it could still be a ghost. We don't know. Now I'm gonna essentially poo-poo on all of these theories and debunk them all. Yes, exactly. No, Bird's gonna debunk them, my bad. Go ahead. Or don't. Okay. So, the Earth. You learn about it when you're very young. What it's supposed to look like. When you picture the Earth, right. Exactly. In science textbooks. You'll see a picture of the Earth like cut in half or quartered so you can see the outside versus the inside sections. You've got the crust, which is what we live on, and this is what we believe from science to date. This is the most likely thing. Science can be changed, though. We all know this. We learn things. We learn things every year that we have to adjust our findings, such as when, we found dinosaur bones. We at first thought they were all scaly and scary and roared like, rah. Future Jamie here during editing. Hi there. Number 1, sorry I sound sick in this episode. I was sick. Number 2, I'm inputting some dinosaur sounds because I realized how embarrassing this sounds after the fact, me just imitating some dinosaurs. Post-edit, so enjoy some dino sounds as well. However, now we've done more research and we're like, okay, so dinosaurs were more likely feathered or furry, and then their screams or roars are not roar, they're more like, I just embarrassed myself. So you've got the crust, which is what we live on, which is the outermost section of the Earth's skin. I know skin is not the right word, but that's all I got. You also have the upper mantle, which is right below the crust. Below the upper mantle, you guessed it, there's the lower mantle. Deeper than that, you have the outer core, and then deeper inside that, in the very, very middle, you have the inner core, which is the hottest section. From the crust all the way on the inside, it gets a lot hotter the deeper you go. The inner core, according to science, is essentially like a solid ball with a radius of about 1,220 kilometers or 780 miles, which is 20% of the Earth's radius or 70% of the moon's radius. There are no samples of the core or any direct measurements because of how hot it is and how difficult it is to get there. It is at such high temperatures because of the high pressure, according to the Simon-Glatzel equation. The Earth was discovered to have this inner solid core made of like molten lava, essentially. It's molten. It's hot. Nothing can survive in there. In 1936 by a Danish seismologist who was studying the seismographs from earthquakes in New Zealand, and he detected sensitive seismographs of the Earth's surface. Oh, she deduced that. My bad. Her name was Lehman. Go Queen. Work. And it was analyzed for a more extensive set of data by these 2 other people. But yeah, I believe the temperature is supposed to be like roughly 9,800 Fahrenheit or 5,430 Celsius, about the temperature at the surface of the sun. So, hot tamale, essentially. More proof, more contradictory proof and evidence is the density of the Earth itself. So not just, the crust, mantle, that kind of stuff. Because maybe if you don't want to learn about that in 5th grade, maybe there's other proof. And there is. In 1735, so long ago, Pierre Bouguer and Charles Marie de la Condamine charted an expedition from France to the Chimborazo volcano in Ecuador. They arrived and climbed into the volcano in 1738, and they conducted a vertical deflection experiment at 2 different altitudes to determine how... Oh my god. The cats just went crazy for that. Y'all like volcanoes? If you like a volcano, say meow. Okay. They conducted a vertical deflection experiment at 2 different altitudes to determine how local mass anomalies are affected by gravitational pulls. In a paper written, I think like a little over 10 years later, they commented that their results, at the bare minimum, falsified hollow earth theory. They didn't, prove to beyond belief that this was real, but they could at least say that hollow earth is not valid. In 1772, they repeated the same experiment with a group of different people. And I think another... Oh my god. The cats are going crazy. I'm not even going to cut that out. You guys just have to listen to that, because I have to listen to that. They also received the same results, if not far greater, and more proof that hollow earth theory is false. In 1798, someone named Henry Cavendish published a measurement of the density of Earth based on a Torsian balance, and these also helped prove a gravitational constant that debunks hollow Earth. Based upon the size of the Earth and the force of gravity on its surface, the average density of the planet Earth is, I believe as of right now, 5.515 grams per cubic centimeter, whatever the heck that means. And the typical density of surface rocks are only half that, so about 2.75 grams per cubic centimeter. Okay, are we following? If any significant portion of the Earth were hollow, the average density would be much lower than that of surface rocks. So it would be a lot lower than 5.515. Do we understand? The only way for the Earth to have the force of gravity that it does currently, which you are experiencing right now, you'd need to have very dense material to make up a large part of the interior. So it's with gravity, it's not hollow. It's not hollow, I'm sorry. Direct observation as proof. Drilling holes, as I mentioned briefly before, does not provide direct evidence against the hypothesis. The deepest hole drilled to date is the Kola Super Deep Borehole, with a true vertical drill depth of around 12 kilometers or 7.5 miles. However, the distance to the center of the Earth is nearly 6,400 kilometers or 4,000 miles. This, I think, does not prove or disprove anything. I will say, though, when people argue about, flat Earth, there is direct observational proof that the Earth is round. If you stand at a really long horizon, or if you're on a boat in the middle of the ocean, or if you're on a plane traveling far and you're up real high, or if you're an astronaut in space, because all of those show big old curve. Big old curve. And I know we're not talking about flat Earth. I will stop talking about it. Just love disproving that one for the believers out there. You also have contradictory evidence from planetary creation itself. So a scientific argument against hollow Earth or any hollow planet, again, comes from gravity. Massive objects tend to clump together gravitationally, creating non-hollow spherical objects such as stars and planets like us. A solid spheroid is the best way to minimize gravitational potential energy of a rotating physical object. Having hollowness is unfavorable in the energetic sense. So if we were hollow, we probably wouldn't have the moon circling us as well, because we don't have enough gravity and gravitational potential energy to have a rotating physical object around us. The ordinary matter is not strong enough to support a hollow shape of planetary size against the force of gravity as well. So a planet-sized hollow shell with a known observed thickness like the Earth's crust would not be able to achieve hydrostatic equilibrium with its own mass and would itself collapse. And you may be thinking, that was a big one, hydrostatic equilibrium. This is a condition in which fluid or plastic solid at rest, which occurs when external forces such as gravity are balanced by a pressure gradient force. If there's anyone who studies physics, I'm sorry I just screamed blood in your ears because I butchered that. But for a regular human, you're probably like, okay, fluid mechanics, whatever, sounds legit. Lastly, I believe we have seismic proof. So the structure of the Earth has been studied through seismic waves, and it looks completely different than what a fully hollow Earth would look like seismically. The time it takes for seismic waves to travel through and around Earth directly contradicts a fully hollow sphere. The evidence indicates that the Earth is mostly filled with solid rock, which is the mantle and the crust, as well as liquid nickel iron alloy, which is the outer core that I mentioned, and then solid nickel iron inner core, which I also mentioned. So, it's okay to have a healthy dose of skepticism. I'm sorry if I disproved anything for you if you were a believer. But that's all I've got for you today, my dear friends. Let us know what you think in the comments. It's open to interpretation. I'm gonna say it's a non-hollow Earth, and I can speak for Caitlin as well to say it's a non-hollow Earth. And from what I gathered, the cats also are saying the Earth is not hollow. But they're aliens, so who knows? They're from outer space. They're crazy. But let us know in the comments below what your thoughts are. A huge thank you for listening, and if you want to support us, like, comment, subscribe, follow, smash that subscribe button. You can leave us a review if you'd like. Please rate us, minimum 3 stars, maximum 5 stars. That would be really awesome. And if you want to check out our Patreon page to support us a little extra, you can join the Patreon. And we have guest stars. We've got funny games on there. We've got stuff like conspiracies. We've got pop culture. We've got just really fun things on there, and it's updated every month. And if you support us on Patreon, we'll say your name at the end of every episode on here, not on Patreon. And yeah, we love you guys. I love you guys. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, which is Creeps Coffee with an N. And on X, also formerly known as Twitter, we are Creeps and Coffee, because we could not mix those two together. Someone stole our name. Or if you just want to email us, feel free to do so at creepsandcoffee@gmail.com. If you want to collab or do a little sponsorship with us, you know where we are. And yeah, we love you and have a good day. The Earth is not hollow. Bye!
Creeps and Coffee is produced and edited by us, Kate and Jane.
Our theme music is Stuck in a Hole by Dated.
For more information on where to find them, check out the link in our show notes. And to connect with us, follow us on Instagram and Twitter @Creeps and Coffee.